Have you ever heard someone say, "We need more buy-in" in a meeting, and thought, what does that mean?
Or someone says, let's use this as leverage, and you nodded, but you weren't really sure why.
Yeah, you understood every word, but the meaning wasn't clear.
Business idioms like these come up in meetings every single day.
And if you don't know them, you can get lost, even if your English is pretty good.
And that's a frustrating place to be.
But once you know these words, you can follow the conversation, join in, and sound natural.
Exactly. These aren't hard phrases. You just need to hear them in the right context.
Today, you'll learn 6 essential business idioms and how to use them naturally at work.
We've got 6 vocabulary words, 2 real business scenes, and practical tips you can try from tomorrow.
I'm Mary.
And I'm Tom. Welcome to Business English Podcast. Let's get into it. Before we hear the conversations, let's go through today's 6 key vocabulary words.
Number 1, bandwidth. The time or energy you have available for extra work.
This one is everywhere in modern business English. I don't have the bandwidth for that right now means I'm too busy. She doesn't have the bandwidth to take on a new project this quarter. Number 2, pivot. To change your direction or strategy, usually when something isn't working.
Oh, this one's huge. Startups pivot, teams pivot, even individual projects pivot. After seeing the test results, the team decided to pivot and target a different market. Number 3, buy-in. Agreement and support from the people who matter.
Yeah, you don't just get permission, you get buy-in. It means people are on board and committed. Before we launch, we need buy-in from the legal and finance teams. Number 4, pushback. Resistance or objection to a plan or idea.
When you present an idea and people disagree, that's pushback. And it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it makes your plan stronger. Her proposal got pushback from the sales team, so she revised it. Number 5, leverage. An advantage you use to get a better result.
Think of it like a lever. You use what you have to move things in your favor. We have strong Q2 numbers. Let's use them as leverage in the budget meeting. And number 6, benchmark. A standard you set to measure performance.
This is your target number, your reference point. We set a benchmark of 500 signups in the first month, and we hit it.
Great. Now let's hear our first scene.
Next scene. John is a VP of strategy at a consulting firm, and Sarah is a business analyst on his team. They're in a one-on-one, reviewing Q3 results and deciding what to do next.
The tone is semi-formal. John is Sarah's manager, but they work closely together. See if you can catch all 6 vocabulary words. And notice how Sarah pushes back in a professional way. Let's listen in.
Sarah, our Q3 results are coming in below benchmark. We need to talk about a change in direction.
I know. I've been looking at the numbers too. They're not where we need them to be.
I think we need to consider a pivot. Shift the focus from brand awareness to direct conversion.
I hear you, but I want to push back on this a little. We don't have the bandwidth to pivot mid-quarter without dropping something else.
What would we need to drop?
The content campaign is taking up about 40% of the team's bandwidth. That would have to pause.
Okay. What if we use this as leverage? Bring the data to the exec team and ask for temporary support resources.
That could work. But first, we need to get buy-in from the sales team. Without them aligned, the pivot won't stick.
Agreed. And if we hit pushback from leadership, the data is our backup.
Right. I'll set a benchmark for the new direction too. Something measurable we can track each week.
Good. That gives us a clear story and makes the pivot easier to justify.
I'll have a proposal ready by tomorrow morning.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's move on this quickly. We can't afford to wait.
Okay, that scene was packed. Let me flag something a lot of learners miss on the first listen.
The way Sarah disagreed. She didn't just say no. She used a phrase that was both confident and respectful.
Exactly. Let's go through the 4 key phrases. First, push back on this. Sarah said, "I want to push back on this a little."
Oh, I love this phrase. Push back on means to challenge an idea or resist a plan, but politely. It's direct without being rude.
Right. It's not just, "I disagree." It's, "I want to push back on this," which sounds measured and professional. You're being honest, not aggressive.
And in more formal settings, you can say, "I'd like to challenge that assumption," but push back on this works in most business meetings.
Second, use this as leverage. John said, "What if we use this as leverage and ask for more resources?"
I love this one. Leverage means you're using something you already have, data, a strong position, a result, to get what you need.
It sounds a bit calculated, and that's exactly the point.
Try it when you have a strong data point or good timing on your side. We can use this as leverage, signals that you're thinking strategically.
Third, get buy-in from. Sarah said, "We need to get buy-in from the sales team."
Buy-in is about making sure the right people support your plan before you move. Get buy-in from is the phrase that shows you're thinking about stakeholders.
And notice who you get buy-in from. It's always someone who could block you later. The exec team, the legal team, the people with real influence.
If you skip this step, you'll hit resistance down the road. Get buy-in from early is how you protect your plan.
And fourth, set a benchmark. Sarah said, "I'll set a benchmark for the new direction."
This is great for making abstract goals concrete. Set a benchmark means decide what success looks like before you start.
And it works everywhere. Product, marketing, HR. Anywhere you need to measure progress, you set a benchmark first.
And once you've set a benchmark, you can hit the benchmark, which we'll hear in scene 2.
Next scene. Alex and Emma are colleagues at a fast-growing tech startup. They're having a quick Friday sync about an upcoming project.
The energy is completely different here. They're peers who know each other well. Listen for how the same idioms sound in a casual, relaxed conversation.
Quick note before we listen. If this episode is useful, please hit that like button. It really helps us reach more learners. Thank you.
And subscribe if you haven't already. We post every week. Okay, let's listen.
Hey Emma, real quick, do you have the bandwidth to take on the onboarding redesign this sprint?
Ha, barely. But honestly, I think we need to pivot anyway. The current flow is getting way too much pushback from users.
Seriously? What kind of pushback?
Drop-off rates are way up. I actually want to use this as leverage to push for a full UX budget.
Oh, I love that plan, but we'll need to get buy-in from the product director first. She controls the money.
Yeah, I know. I'm grabbing 30 minutes with her tomorrow.
Do you have a benchmark in mind? Like, what does better UX actually look like in numbers?
I'm thinking drop off below 15%. If we hit the benchmark in the first sprint, we ask for the full redesign budget.
That's solid, and we actually have the bandwidth to phase it. We don't need to do everything at once.
Right. Start small, show results, then scale.
I'll come to the meeting with you. More leverage never hurts.
Honestly, yeah. Let's do it. Same idioms, totally different vibe. That's the whole point of scene 2.
Alex and Emma are peers. There's no hierarchy, and you can hear it immediately in how they talk.
Let's go through the 4 key phrases. First, have the bandwidth. Alex asked, "Do you have the bandwidth to take on the onboarding redesign?"
This is such a natural way to check someone's capacity. Instead of, "Are you busy?" you say, "Do you have the bandwidth?" It sounds more aware of the other person's workload.
And you can flip it easily. "I don't have the bandwidth for that right now." Clean, professional, easy.
Yeah, and bandwidth works in formal emails and casual Slack messages. It travels well across settings.
Second, Need to pivot. Emma said, I think we need to pivot anyway.
I love how Emma framed this. Not as bad news, but as an opportunity. Need to pivot signals change without panic.
Right. I think we need to pivot is a much more confident opener than our plan isn't working. It says, I have a new direction.
In more formal settings, you'd say, we need to reconsider our approach. But need to pivot is the go-to for fast-moving teams.
Third, get buy-in from. Emma said, we'll need to get buy-in from the product director first.
Same phrase as scene 1, but the tone was completely different. In scene 1, it was a careful strategic step. Here, it was almost just a heads-up between friends.
That's the beauty of idioms. The phrase stays the same. What changes is the energy and the context around it.
And notice Emma already had a plan. I'm grabbing 30 minutes with her tomorrow. She wasn't waiting around. She was already moving.
And finally, hit the benchmark. Emma said, if we hit the benchmark in the first sprint, we ask for the full budget.
Oh, I love this. Hit the benchmark means reach the target. It's like hitting a bullseye.
And notice how Emma used it conditionally. If we hit the benchmark becomes a gate. Meet the target, unlock the reward.
That's smart business communication. You're not just asking for a budget, you're offering a deal. Prove it works, then scale it.
And Alex loved it instantly. I'll come to the meeting with you. That's the power of a clear plan with a measurable target.
Let's talk about how to put these idioms to work, starting this week.
Tip 1. Lead with data, not just ideas.
When you want to use leverage, tie it to something real, a number, a result, a deadline. Don't just say, we should pivot. Say, we're 15% below benchmark. I think we need to pivot.
The data does the heavy lifting for you.
Exactly. We have strong results is just a claim. We hit our benchmark, here's the data, is leverage. Those are very different things in a room full of decision makers.
Tip 2. Name the pushback before it happens.
Before you present your plan, say, I know there might be pushback on this. Here's why I still think it's the right call.
When you name the objection yourself, you take away its power. You're not hiding from it, you're meeting it head-on.
And it makes it easier to get buy-in, too. People feel heard even before they speak.
Right. Try, I want to push back on this myself, and here's my answer. It shows you've already thought it through. Very hard to argue with.
And tip 3, signal a pivot clearly.
When a direction needs to change, don't bury it. Lead with, I think we need to pivot. Then explain why.
This matters because pivot is a strong word. When people hear it, they pay attention. You've already set the frame before your next sentence.
But always pair it with a reason. I think we need to pivot. Here's the data is convincing. Just, let's change things is not.
Name the pivot first. Explain second. That's the move.
So, which of these idioms do you think you'll try first this week? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to know.
You just learned 6 business idioms that come up in real meetings every single week.
Let's do a quick run-through. Bandwidth, the time and energy you have for new work.
Pivot, changing your direction or strategy when something needs to shift.
Buy-in, getting the right people on board before you move forward.
Pushback, resistance to your plan. Expect it. Prepare for it.
Leverage, an advantage you use to get a better outcome.
And benchmark, a measurable standard you set to define success.
Plus our key phrases. Push back on this. Use this as leverage. Get buy-in from. Set a benchmark. Have the bandwidth. Need to pivot. And hit the benchmark.
This week, try to use at least 2 of these in a real conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just try one.
And if you do use one, come back and tell us in the comments. We always read them and we love hearing from you.
If this episode was helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss our next one.
I'm Mary.
And I'm Tom. Good luck out there. Go use your leverage.